Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Rural Insights Podcast. And today, I'm delighted to have a friend with me, for many, many years, and a colleague together, and both alumni of Northern Michigan University. And Steve and I go back to, I won't give you the dates because it's like the 1800s, but we worked in the Capitol building together, going back into the 70s. So we know each other well. And Steve is in the board chair right now, and that's normally a difficult job, but during a presidential search, it's a very difficult job because you've got to balance a lot more pieces. So Steve, welcome. Thank you for doing this. Tell me where we are with the search and how you're feeling about the search.
Sure. Yep. Thank you, David. I want to, before I get into that, I just want to thank you for having me here. And it's been, like you said, you and I go way back, and we were working in this arena in Lansing for many years, and then you went on to different things, and I just really, and I've followed your career, what you've done for Northern. You were president up there for us. You continue to be, up there on faculty, and I want to thank you for that. And because I do admire the career you've had, and particularly at Northern, but also before that. I mean, the working for governors and other things. So it's kind of cool to be able to reconnect with you in this capacity. So thanks, and hopefully I can be not a regular guest, but at least on here, occasionally with you and chat about stuff of interest. But on the search, I just, we're really excited. This has been quite a process, but a good one. I think we had a presidential search advisory committee that was made up of 22 members, community activists, faculty, staff, students. Some board members were on there, and went through a pretty intense process. As you know, I don't need to tell you about presidential searches, but and we just recently completed it, and that's why this is kind of timely today, our discussion. Narrowing the field down, we had 11 candidates. We narrowed it down to 4. Not yet announced, but they will be coming to campus hopefully next week, which would be the week of the 15th, the week after. So, or later this week, I'm sorry, they're actually starting the 15th.
Okay.
For some community forum things. And then we'll do a board interviews with them, and then make a decision, hopefully later this month. I mean, so yeah, the search was in. We did probably 18 hours of interviews with these candidates. And I really want to thank our search advisory committee for the work they did on this, because it was a lot of work and a lot of hours on Zooms, but I think the product is good, and I think we got some good options out there.
I think that's exciting. That's great. So people will begin to get a feel for the 4 finalists, and then the board will make a decision at its September meeting or a special in October to pick somebody. Would that be a fair thing?
Yeah, I think so, David. It depends. Some of it's just scheduling at this point with getting candidates in and working that out. But our ideal situation would be when we're up there for our board meeting around the 20th, that we stay through homecoming, and we stay till Monday the 26th, and then we would do our board interviews then after all the community forums are done, and then of course hopefully make a final decision that week or early October. Hopefully it'll be that week sometimes.
Well, great. That's great. And then the Northern will be ready to move on to, this will be what, the 15th, 16th, 17th president of Northern Michigan University, I think, because I think I'm the 14th.
15, 16 or 17. Yes. It's and you were one of them. So I know you were what, I
think I was 14. I think
14. Yeah, 14. But it's been an interesting process, but an important one. And this as well as anybody. I mean, this is a decision that's going to impact Northern and the community for many years to come. And so we're not taking this lightly, and we're being as deliberative as we can. We in the interim, we have Dr. Carrie Schuling, who's our president, and done a fantastic job. And so luckily we don't have that pressure of, we gotta hire somebody. We've been able to kind of take our time, but at least not be concerned about that aspect of it while we do focus on this. So kudos to Carrie and her team for stepping up too. So.
Yeah, I think Carrie and I were students together at Northern, and
Didn't know that.
yeah, we went to school together, knew each other very well, and she's an exceptionally talented person. So you're right. I mean, having somebody there with that stability, that intellectual capacity and knowledge of Northern, as well as being in a high-level administrator, it's really is not only good now, but it'll be really helpful for the new president, because you can walk into a stable or stabler situation. And Carrie, as you know better than I do, highly respected on campus. So let's just talk a little bit about the priorities here. We're coming up. This is lots of interesting things going on in higher ed. The lead, of course, that you read a lot about is enrollment problems, not just in Michigan, all over the country. Young people not feeling maybe in their families that it's worth getting a four-year degree. The cost of going is really, when you add it up, there's a lot of money, loans, all of that. So, but there are a lot of other issues I'm sure you and the board are talking about. What do you think from your perspective the board will want to see happen in the next few years at Northern?
Yeah, and that's a tough question, but it's an important one, and one that, as you know, since you've been involved in this aspect of it, it's so critical. But first and foremost, the top priority, and we've talked about that, is onboarding a new president, and getting that, setting the table, if you will, for that president to come in and start from day one, working on our behalf. So that's the top priority. Enrollment and retention are, so critical and so difficult right now. You look what's going on with universities, not just in Michigan, like you said, but across the country, and smaller high school graduating classes. The coming out of COVID, where you've got, remote learning became in vogue more so than it was before, and just everybody competing for a smaller number of students, and that means the big universities, Michigan State, Wayne State, are all kind of dipping down into the pools that they never used to dip down into before. So we've got that's an issue. Couple other things, David, that are really important, and I know you're aware of this, but mental health is a huge issue, and we've enlisted the help of Jim Haveman, who used to be a trustee and of course was DHS director and has a very strong background in this. So we hired him to do a mental health services assessment, which we're in the process of releasing, and we have a bunch of recommendations there that we're working on to improve those services for students, because in my view, one student suicide is too many, and we should never ever have that, but we do, unfortunately. And our job, I think, as trustees, and I know you would agree with this, being on faculty, is our parents entrust their kids to us to educate them and provide a safe environment for them and to help them where we can, and that's something we need to take very seriously. And that's why we're really focused on this mental health aspect of making sure we're providing proper services to students, and make sure they have those readily available. Childcare is another one that we're looking at. Childcare is a huge issue for us. We have a huge emphasis on that right now, because it's a recruitment and retention issue. If we've got good faculty, but they can't get childcare, we lose them. Same with students and staff. And it's just, I was told, David, that the wait list up there is up to 2.5 years to get childcare, early childcare. And
Absolutely.
It's
also very expensive. We did a study on Rural Insights, but you're paying, I think I'm guess I'm trying to recall, but it's like almost $700 a month is the average cost per child.
Yes,
One
per
child.
child.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a mortgage payment for a lot of people.
Yeah, and so, to us, that's like, it's all part of the recruitment and retention, just like mental health services, I think, because,
Yeah.
if we're providing those services, parents feel good about having their child come to Northern. They feel that it's a good decision, a safe decision. And so it's all part of that whole thing, which is so critical to us right now. So we're focused on that. The other priority is, as you know, we've got about a $92 million capital building projects underway right now on campus. And some of us already, if you drive around campus, you'll see where that's happening. Making sure we get that, keep that on track. And then just finally, one of the things as chair of the board, and the board in total is in very much agreement with this, is us doing a better outreach. That I think we haven't done a good job of reaching out to key stakeholders in the community. And we're really working hard to try and improve that. For instance, just recently, when we were up there in, I think it was July, for our July meeting, David, we invited the Marquette City Commission to join us and tell us what they're working on. And we told them what we're working on, and had lunch with them. That kind of outreach that we want to really start focusing on, because I think it's important, and we want to do it with faculty, staff, and students, not just, those are all key stakeholders that I think we need to do a better job, and we're trying to do a better job communicating with them.
Steve, I think it's a great point you made. I think the board's presence in the community and reach out is really important. And I know under some presidents in the past and during my time as president, the board tried to hold meals and their board outings in Nagani and Ishpeming or in Escanaba. It really, people do want to see you all and talk to you. So I think that's a great step out. And I think things like the city commission, we do live in that city. The university does, and to talk to them is a big deal. It's important.
Yeah, we're all in this together, and I think, and some of the feedback we got, David, obviously we went through a difficult contract negotiation a while back. We've got it squared around. We got a 5-year, agreements out there, so we got some stability. But some of the feedback we got, about that dealt with some of that outreach and communication. And, through this whole process of interviewing candidates for president, a lot of them talked about trust and the importance of trust in a campus setting, and really any setting, but particularly in a campus setting. And I think that, we had some of those issues, some of those trust issues. And I think we have an opportunity to correct that and turn that battleship around. And I'm committed to it, and I know the board is. We're not going to flip a switch, as you worked in Lansing,
Right.
How relationships are, but we're committed to working on that.
So do you think we have a hope here of increasing state support for higher ed? We've suffered through some really hard hits over the years, and you all have had to balance that, and the tuition goes up because state aid goes down. In the late 70s, I think it was, state aid was 75% of the cost of your tuition, and the parents, student 25%, some number like that. It's rather dramatic flip-flop. It's flipped now, and it's 25% somewhere in there, state aid. Is there any chance that'll happen, or are things, the economy, just too tenuous that won't be for a while?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a steep hill to climb. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be trying to climb it, and we are, and we will. And we've talked to that about with candidates that may end up here on campus, the importance of going in and fighting for those dollars. And I think that, unfortunately, and this because you were in this world for many, many years, it's right now, I think there's an anti-higher ed bias in the legislature, and I'm generalizing. I'm not, and I can get in trouble for generalizing. I'm thinking overall. it's more emphasis on K-12, in the thought being, well, they can raise tuition, and if we reduce state dollars, they can raise tuition to make up those dollars. And that's true, but it's not a good way to run a battleship either. So I think we need to look at that. The other part of that too is being more aggressive in trying to find dollars outside of that process through donors and that kind of thing to try and be more aggressive in that area, which is something we need to do as well. Unfortunately, being a university president, and don't need to tell you this, that's a big part of the job, probably even more so now than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Well, I think, as I told you, we wouldn't go longer than 15 minutes or so. I think everyone is the other big challenge ahead of the university is, and I had to do it, is hire a new AD. Forrest Carr, who I hired, is leaving, and now you've got a really well-known interim, Rick Comley, who led our hockey team to a national championship and is well-known on campus. But the new president will have a lot of those challenges and staffing needs. But I think everyone, your last comments about higher ed and cost, I mean, families, the challenges is severe for working families to put their kid through school. I mean, through the university, it's just obvious, but it's also something, like we said, when you add that into families with childcare and others, these are all big challenges before. So the other question in closing is, will the Lions go to the Super Bowl?
Well, I think the last time they won a national championship, I was born. So that was, people can tell by looking at me, that was a long time ago. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to go there, David. Yeah. We can always hope though, right?
Always hope. We can hope that they and the Pack have if for all the UP, for folks that don't watch this, the UP is sort of split in between the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. And it's one interesting story about that. Let it go is the people often ask why, and I ask, why is the Northern colors, the green and gold, the same as the Packers? And a zillion years ago, I think, I don't remember, I think in the 50s or before, they actually wanted new uniforms, and the Green Bay Packers donated uniforms, old uniforms. That's how that's according to people in the athletic department. So that's what they told me, but it's a great story, even if it isn't true.
we're gonna run with it. I like it. It's good. I know most people in the UP, they don't care about the Lions, and I get they like the Packers, but those of us that are trolls from downstate, it's an annual thing, but who knows? I mean, we can always hope. Hope springs eternal. So,
well, Steve, thank you. I'm heading down to Lansing this week, and maybe I'll see you around town, but I'd love to do this again in a few weeks after the search, and later November or so, you and I'll get back on and talk about some more about higher ed and Northern. How's that?
Anytime, just shoot me a note, and we'll get something on the books, David.
Thank you very much for doing this. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks.